The giant alien ships hung in Earth's sky for months. People were scared at first, but soon they got used to them. The Cracks had come with their huge fleet 6 months ago. They demanded the humans give up control of their planet. When Earth's leaders said no, the aliens attacked. Captain William Mason looked out from the bridge of his ship, the EDS Vanguard. He watched as the alien ships moved away from Earth. His blue eyes narrowed as he studied the screens. The battle had been hard. Earth forces had fought well, but they had only used their basic weapons. The real fight had not even started yet. "They're moving past the moon now, sir," said Lieutenant Susan Powell. She had dark hair pulled back tight and never seemed to get tired, even after days of battle. "Looks like they're getting ready for their jump away." Mason nodded. "They think they're being kind to us. They think they're showing mercy." The last message from the Cracks commander still played in his mind. "Accept your good fortune, humans. We grant you mercy this day." But Mason knew better. He had seen the files taken from captured Crack ships. This wasn't mercy. This was just a pause. The aliens were going to come back stronger. They always did this when they found new planets. They would attack, pull back to study their enemy, then return with a bigger force. "What they don't understand," Mason said quietly, "is that we were holding back too." The governments of Earth had agreed to use only regular weapons. They feared that using their best technology might make the aliens destroy the planet. So the secret weapons, the ones built after humans discovered how to travel faster than light, stayed hidden in bases across the solar system. Powell looked up from her screen. "Should we follow them, sir? We could track where they go." "No need," Mason replied. "We know where they're headed. The Proxima Centauri system. They've set up their forward base there." He stood up and stretched. He hadn't slept in over 30 hours. The battle had been long, and Earth ships had taken heavy damage. But they had surprised the Cracks. The aliens had lost almost a third of their fleet. "Send a message to command," Mason ordered. "Tell them exactly what I'm about to tell you. The Cracks will be back. And next time, we won't just be fighting to defend. We'll be fighting to win." Powell nodded and began typing the message. Around the bridge, the crew worked at their stations. Some looked worried, others determined. They had all seen what the Cracks' weapons could do. Several Earth cities had been hit before the defense fleet could drive the aliens back. Mason walked to the main window and looked at the Earth below. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land. Home. The place humans had fought over for thousands of years. Now they were united against a common enemy. "They think we're weak," he said to no one in particular. "They think that's all we had. They have no idea what humans can do when we get serious." The Earth Defense Fleet regrouped. Damaged ships limped back to orbital docks for repairs. The dead were counted. Plans were made. In secret facilities on Earth, the Moon, and Mars, scientists and engineers worked on weapons the Cracks couldn't imagine. Generals and admirals studied the battle data, learning the aliens' weaknesses. The Cracks thought the war was over. They thought they had seen humanity's best effort. They were wrong. The real war hadn't even started yet. 3 months passed since the Cracks left Earth's orbit. Deep under the city of Geneva, the world's leaders met in a large room with no windows. The walls were thick concrete, and guards stood at every door. This was the safest place on Earth to talk about what came next. General Catherine Rivera stood in front of a large screen. She was tall with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. The screen behind her showed pictures of alien ships gathering near a distant star. "The Cracks are building up their forces," she said, pointing to the images. "Our spy drones in the Proxima Centauri system show they have 3 times as many ships now as when they first attacked us." President Henry Blackwell leaned forward in his chair. He had deep lines on his face from too many nights without sleep. "How long do we have?" 2 months, maybe 3, Rivera said. "They are being careful this time. They are studying how we fight and what weapons we use. Director Zhao from China stood up next. He was a small man with a thin mustache, but his voice was strong. We only use 20% of what we can really do. They have no idea what we have waiting for them. Rivera nodded. That's our advantage. The cracks think they've seen our best weapons and tactics. They don't know about our real power. The European Chancellor, a woman with blonde hair pulled back tight, spoke next. Is Project Thunderbolt ready? Yes, Rivera said. The gravity weapons and quantum arrays are also ready. Now we need your permission to use the Scorched Space plan. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what Scorched Space meant. It wasn't just a way to fight back. It would change Earth's place in the galaxy forever. Humans would no longer just defend their planet. They would take the fight to the stars. We should vote, Blackwell said after a long silence. But remember what we learned from the Cracks prisoners. They don't just want our planet and our resources. Their religion says they must rule over all lesser species. They will not stop until we are slaves or dead. One by one, each leader voted. All agreed. Earth would not wait for the Cracks to attack again. This time, humans would strike first. After the meeting, Rivera walked with Blackwell down a long hallway. Will it work? Blackwell asked quietly. Our spies got inside their main computer system last week, Rivera said. We know their weak points now, and they still don't know about the Hammond drive. The Hammond drive was humanity's greatest secret. While the Cracks used a slow form of faster-than-light travel, humans had found a way to fold space itself. Earth ships could appear anywhere, without warning. Start moving our fleets into position, Blackwell ordered. But keep them hidden. Use the bases on Pluto and the moons of Neptune. When the time comes, I want the Cracks to be completely surprised. Rivera nodded. I'll give the orders today. In 2 weeks, we'll send in the Special Forces team to plant the beacons. Then the real plan begins. They stopped at a large metal door. Behind it was a room filled with screens showing Earth's defense systems. Thousands of weapons satellites orbited the planet now, and more were being launched every day. They think they heard us, Blackwell said. They think we're afraid and rebuilding our defenses. They have no idea we're preparing for the biggest attack humans have ever launched. Rivera smiled for the first time in months. The Cracks have been conquering worlds for centuries. They've never lost a war. Until now, Blackwell said. Until they met humans who got serious. Commander Daniel Grant held his breath and pressed his body against the cold metal wall. His special suit made him almost invisible to both eyes and machines. 20 other soldiers from Earth's Special Warfare Division waited nearby, hidden just like him. They were inside a cracked space station orbiting a planet in the Proxima Centauri system. No human had ever been this deep in enemy territory before. Their mission was dangerous but important. Put a computer virus in the Cracks battle network and place special beacons around the station. Control, this is Phantom Lead, Grant whispered into his small microphone. We are in position. Copy, Phantom Lead, came the voice of Lieutenant Patricia Adams. She was back on their hidden ship, the EDS Nightshade, waiting far away in the outer part of the star system. You have green light. Grant gave the signal, and his team moved forward. They had practiced this mission hundreds of times. Each person knew exactly where to go and what to do. The Cracks were big creatures that looked like walking lizards with armor. They stood 8 feet tall and had tough skin that could stop bullets. But they were also proud and sure of themselves. They had conquered many worlds and never lost a war. They didn't expect enemies to sneak into their command center. Private Kelly Martinez reached the main computer room first. She was small and quick, the best person for this part of the mission. While 2 other soldiers watched for guards, she placed a small device on the central machine. At the same time, Sergeant Andrew Collins connected his portable computer to a Cracks terminal. He uploaded the virus that Earth's best computer experts had created. Package delivered, Collins reported quietly. Network being taken over now. From other parts of the station, more reports came in. Beacons planted in areas 1 through 7. Grant checked his watch. 3 minutes until we must leave. Back to the meeting point. The team came back together and moved to their hidden ship. No alarms had sounded. No cracks had seen them. The mission was going perfectly. As they flew away from the station, Grant allowed himself a small smile. The cracks would find out something was wrong eventually. But by then it would be too late. The virus would be deep in their systems, and the beacons would let Earth's fleet know exactly where to strike. Back on Earth, millions of soldiers prepared for the biggest space battle in human history. Giant defense platforms pointed their weapons toward the stars. Special ships with the new Hammond drives waited in secret bases across the solar system. For the first time, humans were not going to just defend their planet. They were going to attack first. In her office at Earth Defense Command, General Rivera looked at the latest reports. All parts of the plan were moving forward on schedule. The spy drone showed that the cracks still had no idea what was coming. How long until the Special Forces team returns? President Blackwell asked from the screen on her wall. They should be back in 4 days, Rivera said. Then we'll know for sure if the beacons are working. And the quantum displacement array. Dr. Murphy reports it will be ready in 2 weeks. We're moving it to the far side of the moon now. Blackwell nodded. The cracks think we're still licking our wounds. They think we're weak. They're about to learn how wrong they are, Rivera said. Operation First Strike begins as soon as Commander Grant's team returns. In the darkness of space, the EDS Nightshade turned toward home. Its engines were specially designed to leave no heat trail. No crack ship could see it or follow it. Inside, Commander Grant briefed his team. Good work, everyone. Now we get home and prepare for the real fight. In 2 weeks, we come back here with the entire fleet. The first step of humanity's counterattack had been completed. Now the real war could begin. Dr. Olivia Murphy stood on the viewing platform of the Luna base, looking at the huge machine her team had built. The quantum displacement array was nearly 1 kilometer wide, a giant metal ring with thousands of small devices attached to it. It was humanity's greatest scientific achievement, and very few people even knew it existed. Field is at 97%, reported Dr. Frank Rodriguez, who stood at a control panel nearby. All dampeners are working properly. Murphy nodded without taking her eyes off the main screen. Begin targeting sequence. Earth scientists had learned a lot from studying the crack ships they had captured. The aliens used a type of faster-than-light travel that needed exact calculations and lots of energy. But humans had found something the cracks didn't know about. The basic fabric of space could be changed. The giant array powered up, drawing energy from the fusion plants deep under the moon's surface. When fully charged, it would create a field that would change the rules of physics in the Proxima Centauri system. Displacement field is ready, Rodriguez said, waiting for final approval. Murphy's screen lit up with a message from Earth Command. Authorization Omij. Proceed. She took a deep breath. Execute displacement. The array sent out a pulse of energy. It wasn't like a laser or a bomb. There was no beam or explosion, just a wave that spread outward and disappeared. It didn't look dangerous, but it had just changed the nature of space itself and the target system. On the screens, they watched through special cameras as the Cracks fleet began to have problems. Ship after ship tried to use their faster-than-light drives, but nothing happened. The physical laws they needed had been changed. The Cracks could no longer escape from the star system. They were trapped. Phase 1 complete, Murphy reported to Earth Command. The bottle is sealed. Now the real attack could begin. Murphy looked at the screens showing the Earth fleet getting ready to jump to the Proxima Centauri system. Hundreds of warships were forming up, their weapons charged and ready. This is what they get for attacking Earth, Rodriguez said quietly. They thought we were just another easy conquest. Murphy nodded. The Cracks have conquered 17 other civilizations. They've completely destroyed 5 more that fought back too hard. They thought we would be the same. What happens after we win? Rodriguez asked. Do we destroy them completely? That's not for us to decide, Murphy said. Our job was to build this device and make it work. What happens next is up to the military and the political leaders. She looked at the final readings from the quantum array. It was working perfectly. The trap was set. Now Admiral Johnson and the Earth fleet would deliver the killing blow. In the command center below, military officers watched as the Hammond drives on the Earth ships powered up. Unlike the Krax drives, human FTL technology created a fold in space itself. The whole fleet could jump directly to where they wanted to go, arriving in perfect formation. Quantum displacement field is stable, reported a technician. Earth fleet reports ready for jump. Murphy watched as the first wave of ships disappeared in flashes of blue light. They would arrive at Proxima Centauri in moments, catching the Krax completely by surprise. They'll try to fight back, Rodriguez said. The Krax are still dangerous, even when trapped. Yes, Murphy agreed. But they've never faced humans who are fighting at full strength. They've never seen what we can really do when we get serious. On the main screen, the rest of the Earth fleet began to jump. Hundreds of ships, carrying the most powerful weapons humans had ever built. The Krax thought the war was over 3 months ago. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Leroy Johnson stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution, the biggest warship humans had ever built. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray hair at his temples. Around him, the crew worked at their stations, preparing for battle. Through the main window, he could see hundreds of other Earth ships moving into position. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Captain Sandra Wells. She was his second in command, a woman with short red hair and steady hands. Strike groups are in position and waiting for your order. Johnson nodded. Begin jump countdown. The humans and the Krax used very different ways to travel faster than light. The Krax needed special conditions and lots of energy. But humans had created the Hammond drive, a system that folded space itself. The entire Earth fleet could jump to Proxima Centauri at once, arriving exactly where they wanted to be. Hammond drives powering up. Wells reported. Jump in 30 seconds. Johnson spoke to the whole fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Johnson. The Krax came to our home and thought we were weak. Today, we show them the true strength of humanity. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every world these aliens have conquered or destroyed. Be precise. Show no mercy to those who fight, but remember our values. We are not like them. The Hammond drives turned on, and space seemed to bend around the fleet. In a moment, they moved from Earth orbit to the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. Jump complete, Wells announced. All ships present and accounted for. In front of them was the trapped Krax Armada, almost 800 ships of different sizes. They were still trying desperately to escape the quantum field that Dr. Murphy had created. They see us, said the weapons officer. They're turning to fight. Johnson stood tall. All ships, execute battle plan Thunderstrike. Weapons free. The human fleet broke into smaller groups, each targeting different parts of the Krax formation. Unlike their earlier defensive battle around Earth, this was an attack planned with terrible precision. The first wave of gravity lenses, weapons that created small black holes, tore through the Krax formation. They crushed smaller ships and badly damaged the larger ones. The second wave fired kinetic kill vehicles, solid metal objects moving at nearly the speed of light. The Krax fought back hard. Their plasma weapons and antimatter missiles destroyed several human ships. But their tactics showed they were confused. They had expected to face the same kind of defense they had seen at Earth. Instead, they faced something completely different. Humans had been fighting wars against each other for thousands of years. They knew how to attack, not just defend. Their main ship is trying to run away, Wells reported. They're heading for the far side of the fourth planet. Johnson nodded. Perfect. Signal Admiral Chen's group to make their jump. As the Krax flagship led a desperate retreat, a second human fleet appeared directly in their path. They had been hiding beyond the edge of the system. The trap was complete. The cracks were surrounded, with nowhere to run. Their faster-than-light drives didn't work because of the quantum displacement field. Their communications were blocked by the virus that Commander Grant's team had planted. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Cracks Imperium faced total defeat. "They're sending a message," Wells said, sounding surprised. Johnson raised an eyebrow. "Put it on the main screen." The face of a Cracks commander appeared. He had scaly skin and yellow eyes. Blood ran from a wound on his head. "Human commander," the Cracks said, his voice deep and rumbling. "This battle is not over. The Imperium has conquered 1,000 worlds. We will not be defeated by primitives." Johnson smiled coldly. "You already have been. You just don't know it yet." He turned to Wells. "Continue the attack. No mercy until they surrender." The hammer had fallen. The real war had begun, and humanity was winning. Supreme Commander Drazkar stood in what was left of his flagship's command center. Golden blood ran from cuts on his scaly body. Around him, parts of the ceiling had fallen down. Machines sparked and smoked. His officers worked hard to keep the ship running. "Tell me what is happening," he demanded. His voice was deep and had several tones at once. "It is very bad." Supreme Commander, his second-in-command, replied. "We have lost 7 out of every 10 ships. The rest cannot escape because of the human quantum weapon. Our soldiers on the base are being attacked heavily." Drazkar could not believe what was happening. The Cracks had studied humans before attacking Earth. They thought humans were advanced but not united enough to stand against the Imperium. That judgment had been very wrong. "We must tell the High Council what is happening," he said. "Prepare a message drone." His communications officer looked up with fear in his yellow eyes. "Impossible, Supreme Commander. The humans have broken into our relay network. All messages we try to send beyond this system are being blocked or changed." For the first time in 800 years of conquering other worlds, the Cracks Imperium faced not just defeat, but complete destruction. The humans fought with a fierceness and cleverness that went against everything the Cracks knew about warfare. On the main screen, Drazkar watched another Cracks battleship torn apart by weapons his scientists had said were impossible to build. The humans had made weapons that used gravity itself. They had missiles that could pass through solid matter before exploding. They had fighting machines that could learn and change tactics during battle. "Supreme Commander," his second said quietly, "perhaps we should think about doing the unthinkable." Drazkar knew what he meant. Surrender. In all Cracks history, no Cracks force had ever surrendered to a lesser species. Both their military rules and their religion forbade it. Another explosion rocked the ship. More alarms sounded. The damage control officer shouted, "Hull breach on levels 3 through 7. We are losing air." Drazkar made his decision. The Imperium must survive to fight another day. He had seen enough to know this battle could not be won. "Open a channel to the human command ship," he ordered. "I will speak with their leader." His communications officer stared in shock. "Supreme Commander, are you sure?" "The High Council will." "The High Council is not here." Drazkar roared. "I am in command, and I will not watch the entire fleet die for nothing. Open the channel." Minutes later, the face of the human admiral appeared on the screen. He had dark skin and calm eyes that showed no fear. "This is Admiral Johnson of Earth. Are you ready to surrender, Commander?" Drazkar drew himself up to his full height, ignoring the pain of his wounds. "I am Supreme Commander Drazkar of the Cracks Imperium. I propose a ceasefire to discuss terms." The human's face showed no emotion. "Your ships will power down all weapons systems. Your crews will prepare to be boarded. Any ship that does not comply will be destroyed immediately. You will come aboard my ship to discuss surrender terms. You have 10 minutes to relay these orders to your fleet." The screen went dark. Drazkar turned to his shocked officers. "Send the orders," he said quietly. "All ships to power down weapons. Prepare to be boarded." His second stepped forward. Supreme Commander, no Krax force has ever. And no Krax force has ever faced humans who were truly trying to win. Drazkar interrupted. We thought we had seen their best at Earth. We were wrong. Now we pay the price for that mistake. As the orders went out to the remaining Krax ships, Drazkar looked at the image of the massive human flagship on the screen. These creatures, whom the Krax had dismissed as just another world to conquer, had done the impossible. They had defeated the undefeatable Imperium. The broken Imperium would never be the same again. The meeting room on the EDS Retribution went quiet when Supreme Commander Drazkar walked in. Even with his wounds and being a prisoner, the huge alien moved with pride. 4 armed human guards walked with him. Their faces showed no emotion, but their fingers stayed near their weapons. Across the table sat Admiral Johnson, General Rivera, and President Blackwell. The human president had traveled to Proxima Centauri on a special fast ship. Supreme Commander, Blackwell began, you know why we are here. Drazkar's yellow eyes narrowed. To tell the beaten what they must do. I know this idea well, though I have never been on this side of it. Let's be clear, Rivera said. Her voice was hard. Your forces attacked Earth without being provoked. From data we found in your ships, your Imperium has conquered 17 spacefaring civilizations and wiped out 5 others that fought back too well. The strong have the right to rule the weak, Drazkar said, showing no shame. You seem to understand this idea very well, based on how you fought in this battle. Johnson leaned forward. The difference, Commander, is that we don't want to conquer. We want to be safe. Blackwell turned on a display showing the terms of surrender. Your remaining ships will leave this system, and all others within 50 light-years of Earth. You will give us complete information on all Krax military bases, fleet movements, and technology. And what promise do we have that you won't use this information to destroy the entire Imperium? Drazkar asked. None, Rivera said flatly. Accept our word. But think about this. If we wanted to destroy you completely, we could keep fighting until all your ships are gone. Instead, we're offering terms. There's more, Blackwell continued. You will free all species under Imperium control and recognize their right to rule themselves. You will pay for damages to these civilizations, watched over by a group that will include Earth and other free worlds. Drazkar's face scales darkened in what humans had learned was a sign of anger. You would destroy everything the Imperium has built over thousands of years. You tried to make slaves of us, Johnson replied. These are the results of that choice. And if I say no? The Krax commander asked. Blackwell's face was serious. Then we continue this war, not just here, but everywhere. We've already sent fleets to 7 other systems under Krax control. We share our technology with 3 of the species you've been ruling. The rebellion has already started. For a long time, Drazkar was silent. The truth of his situation was sinking in. The humans hadn't just beaten his fleet, they had outsmarted the entire Imperium in their planning. I will sign your terms, he said finally. But remember this, humans. The Krax have existed for thousands of your years. We have faced defeat before. We always come back. Johnson smiled slightly. We're counting on that. That's why we're not destroying you completely. When you do return, you'll find us waiting. And we won't be alone. After Drazkar left, escorted back to his shuttle, the human leaders stayed to talk. Will he keep his word? Blackwell asked. It doesn't matter, Rivera replied. We've already sent the signal to the resistance groups on 17 Krax-controlled worlds. The beacons that Commander Grant's team planted also sent our technology to those rebels. The Imperium will be fighting inside its borders for years. Johnson looked at the surrender document now signed. This isn't just a military victory. It's the beginning of a new age. The Krax thought humans were just another weak species to add to their list of conquests. Instead, Blackwell said, we've become the ones who broke their empire. Outside the window, the damaged Krax ships were being watched by human vessels. Soon, they would be escorted out of the system. The war was over. Humanity had won. 5 years after the surrender at Proxima Centauri, Captain William Mason stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Concordat. This was Earth's first diplomatic base in the center of the galaxy. Around him stood representatives from 23 spacefaring civilizations, including 7 that had been freed from Crack's rule. Ambassador Diane Harris of Earth spoke to the gathering. The treaty before you today creates mutual defense plans, trade agreements, and cultural exchange programs between all signing worlds. Together, we can make sure that no single power can ever again threaten the freedom of thinking beings in this part of the galaxy. The Velieri representative spoke next. These beings looked like walking crystals that glowed with inner light. For 300 years, my people lived under Crack's rule. We had forgotten what freedom meant until humans showed us we could fight back. We stand with Earth. One by one, the representatives voiced their support for the treaty. Even the Cracks, now ruled by a reform council after their supreme leadership had been overthrown following their defeat, sent a watcher, though they were not yet trusted enough to sign. After the ceremony, Mason found himself on a balcony overlooking the huge space station that housed the Concordat. Captain Susan Powell, now in command of her own ship, joined him. "Did you ever think we would end up here when we watched the Cracks retreat from Earth that day?" she asked. Mason shook his head. "I thought we would be fighting for our survival for many years. I never imagined we would be building friendships across dozens of star systems." "The Cracks did us a favor, in a way," Powell said. "They forced humanity to stop fighting each other and work together. They made us reveal our best technology and our best thinking." Mason nodded, "And they showed the galaxy something important, that bullies can be beaten." They looked out at the spaceships coming and going from the station. Vessels of many shapes and sizes, built by many different species. Trade ships, diplomatic vessels, and the occasional military craft keeping watch. "We still have problems to solve," Mason said. "The Cracks Imperium is smaller now, but not gone. The freed worlds are still rebuilding. There are other powerful empires out there that we haven't met yet." "True," Powell agreed, "but we're not facing them alone. And we've shown what happens when someone underestimates humans." Mason smiled. "They thought the war was over when they retreated from Earth. They had no idea what was coming." Later that day, Mason attended a meeting with military representatives from 12 worlds. They reviewed intelligence reports about movements at the edges of former Crack space. Some rogue Cracks commanders refused to accept the peace treaty. They were causing trouble on the borders. "We should send a joint fleet," suggested the Regellian admiral, a being with 6 arms and blue skin. "Show them that we stand together now." Mason nodded. "Earth will contribute ships to this mission. We didn't come this far to allow the peace to fail." As the meeting ended, Mason thought about how much had changed. 5 years ago, humans had been alone in the galaxy as far as they knew. Now they were leading an alliance of dozens of worlds. Earth ships traveled to stars that once seemed impossibly distant. Human technology was spreading through the galaxy, as was human culture and ideas. The Cracks had attacked Earth thinking they would find an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. They had forced humanity to reveal its true strength and determination. As Mason looked out at the stars from the meeting room window, he smiled again. The galaxy was a dangerous place, but humanity had proven it belonged among the stars. And if new threats appeared, they would find that humans took their safety very seriously indeed. The end.